One, we are live and on the air. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the channel. This is Yankees Outdoor Adventures, another episode of uncovering the truth about conspiracy theories. Thoughts and opinions expressed during this episode may or may not be the same as YouTube or our advertisers. Viewers' discretion is advised. This isn't a news broadcast or anything of the sort. We do these shows monthly. When I say we, I mean myself and Ford. But this evening, Ford's under the weather. Don't worry, it's not the COVID. He's not going to be gone forever. But he is under the weather. He's got a case of the flu, and we're going to do this particular series now twice a month. So he will be back with us for the next episode. But as a fill-in tonight, I have with me Green Feathers, who you guys may know from some of my daytime lives. And welcome, Green Feathers. It's great to have you here.
Wanishi, bro. Thank you for having me again. Very good to be back. How's everybody doing tonight? Good to see you.
Yeah, we got four out there right now. Come on in, guys. Hit a thumbs up as you come in. Always appreciate it. Tonight we're going to be talking about out of the ordinary archaeology, and there's a lot of it around the world. Now, I know Ford is really missing this particular episode because he's got a lot to add. But I saved some of those because I know a lot of the ones he has a lot of interest in. And I just focused on, for tonight's episode, just outright American items that were found here in America. Some of them are really kind of mind-baffling. And now, of course, some of these are disputed, and it's debated whether or not they're actually artifacts. Some of them may be natural occurrences, and some of them may be hoaxes. We don't know for sure, but we're gonna talk about a few of them. And of course, if you guys have heard any of these, and you want to add to it, go ahead. I will start with just the very first one. So to kind of give you an idea of the oddity type of things I'm talking about, I want to start with the very first one out of this country. And it'll be the only one we do tonight that's out of the country. But this discovery took place in London, and it is called the London Hammer. Now, I got this so I can show you guys like that. The London Hammer. I don't know if you guys have ever heard about this or ever seen this before. The hammer itself was found embedded in rock. And I don't mean like it was laid on the rock somehow. This was literally formed in the rock, meaning the hammer was put there before the rock was rock. The steel has been tested, and there's no other steel like it. They have no idea the exact composure of this metal. It's very ancient, it's very old. If you now, archaeology does argue this fact. They call it an oddity because they can't prove that it's fake, but they don't want to admit that it's real. One of the really fascinating things is the handle on this hammer is actually the bottom tip of the handle was already turning to coal. Which, as you guys know, it takes a very, very long time for organics to turn to coal, and the wood was turning to coal. So if this is a hoax, it's one heck of a hoax. But these are the type of oddities I will be talking about tonight. Green Feathers, did you ever hear about this one particularly?
I did, actually. Something interesting about the steel composure is that normally in today when metal is being formed by us and different alloys are being formed, we historically have used blast furnaces in at least part of that process. But the chemical composure of the steel in that did not indicate that a blast furnace was used, meaning we don't know how that metal hammer was necessarily forged. Going
Possibly
back to what
with
you said,
technology a little different than we've ever used, which again is kind of neat.
Yeah, absolutely. And as someone who, as a somewhat amateur archaeologist myself, and as an amateur blacksmith, someone who's experimented with different types of metalworking, definitely makes you wonder: how is there a handle that's now turning to coal, because that's a process that takes many millions of years. And given the history of human tool use, yeah, it
Yeah,
makes you
you're
really
talking
wonder
millions of
how did
years.
that happen?
Yeah, you're talking millions of years opposed to thousands, tens of thousands of years for mankind to even be doing this type of work. So it is, again, these are the type of oddities we'll be talking about tonight. Tonight's show will be around 30-minute long. And I do have a few of these to share with you guys because here in America, there has been some really cool ones. And Green Feathers, out of the ones I bounced and showed you, do you have a favorite? You got one we want to start with?
Hmm.
there's
let's
there's
start
some
with
good.
the one that you showed me initially with the X-rays.
I love this one. I love this one.
This is a real head turner, because some would say, well, clearly this is a hoax, while others would say, a big question mark in that regard. And I would
And
put myself in between the two of, I
of
don't
the
have
question
any
mark,
type of answer
guys,
on what that is, but it really makes you think.
throughout time, there's a lot of stories of not only giants that once existed, but little people that once existed. And this is called the San Pedro Mountain discovery, or the San Pedro Mountain Man is another thing you may find it called. I do want to point out, however, this is an X-ray of the of the man, the mummified man. Okay, this is the X-ray of it, and as we're pointing this out, this is the man that you're looking at, right? This is it right here. That's how small it is. It's inside this glass case that this guy's carrying. Um, a very interesting discovery for me personally. The Lenape Indian had a spirit in the forest known as the Manitou. The Manitou were incredibly small people that would live in hollows of trees and things like that. So when I seen this one, it excited me. That wow, that's it's kind of cool. Again, science will claim that it's some type of hoax. The man won't allow it to be cut open. I mean, I probably wouldn't either. They did allow it to be X-rayed. Now I know my picture's a little shaggy, but when you look at the X-ray on a zoom in, it even has it has teeth like you or I would have. It's kind of interesting, really interesting, if it is a hoax. Oh, what do I got? I got to say thumbs up to the hoaxer
Yeah, it
because it's
definitely would have
pretty
taken a
cool.
lot of patience and a lot of imagination for someone to hoax that. So either kudos to a great hoaxer, or just a big question mark for me.
Exactly. And for me too, like I said, with through heritage lines, there are stories of these type of things possibly existing, and then here's a guy holding one. So I'm not going to say no to it at this point. I'm
Right,
open to it. I really am.
right.
Um, Now, another really interesting one that I heard about a lot in the past, and then as I was researching these, I of course come back across it again. There was there was once considered an archaeology expedition into the Grand Canyon, and it was claimed that a cavern was found that was Egyptian style, Egyptian hieroglyphics, Egyptian style artifacts, uh, to show some of the supposed artifacts that had come from this. Um, Again, this statue supposedly found in the Grand Canyon in this cave. Um, This wasn't the first time I heard about this, though. The region where this cave was supposedly found, it was found in the 1800s. However, nowadays, there's absolutely no way you could go see it. because it's all owned by the military. The native reservation is up to the front part of it, and the back part of it is like no fly zone, the whole 9 yards.
Wow.
So whether or not there was a cave there, we'll never know at this point. Other than that, and some other artifacts that come from supposedly that cave. Again, this here to be, if I were to say, look at this neat scribe on a rock that we found in Egypt, everybody would quickly say, yeah, that's an Egyptian artifact. But again, this here was supposedly found in the United States. So it definitely piques an interest when
Absolutely.
have you ever heard any of the stories about the cave in the Grand Canyon?
I have, yeah. They say that there definitely could be a series of tunnels or caves in that regard that date back to ancient times, and people definitely had catacombs and used symbols. So whether certain groups, like some will cite the Phoenicians or other seafaring groups who preceded them as perhaps forerunners to other groups who use certain symbols in certain regards, and were some of the natives here related to or connected to some of those cultures. There's definitely a lot of debate anthropologically, archaeologically, and geographically in that regard. So when one goes back in time and looks at the sea levels, or one goes back in time and looks at shared symbols around the world or shared techniques of stoneworking, it does make you think, was the world perhaps just as interconnected as it was today? Maybe not on the same scale or the same rate of information exchange, but people have been explorers throughout the context of our species' history. So it wouldn't be such an oddball proposition to say that one or several groups that were masters of wayfaring in some sense of seafare or riverway. For example, the Grand Canyon has the river flowing right through it. So at some point in time, by all means, it could have been possible that people sailed through there and built the same types of catacombs that they built elsewhere.
All right, exactly. In addition to that one, there's the underground city that was supposed to be an ancient city, I believe, under the Mojave Desert. So there's another legend of underground. Since we're so deep in the ground, but we're not into any caves, I like to talk about this one here a moment too. What a cool looking little sculpture that was found, and obviously appears to be a wooden sculpture. It was damaged in the removal. It was damaged by the drill bit. And I say, what? The drill bit? Yeah, it was damaged by the drill bit because this particular item was found 300 foot deep. 300 foot deep through layers of clay and rock and sand, all the way down to a layer of sand. They hit it to 300 feet, and this come up with the with the waste dirt from the drilling. So, and 300 foot deep, green feathers.
To get to that level requires one to think of how land masses form, shift, and evolve over time. So how did something that was made by a person clearly reach 300 feet? It would have meant that at some point in time, that was the surface level. So I'm sure that there are people much more knowledgeable than I on, I guess you would say, geography or topography in that sense, and that could determine exactly what level, what soil level, and how long ago would that have been 300 feet down. does that indicate that that is when that artifact existed on the surface, or is there another explanation? To me, that definitely raises a lot of questions about the continuity of our tool work. How long ago exactly did we start making things?
And carving things. Well, see, that is that whole problem with this particular artifact. There's no way you can get a timeline where man is doing anything like this at that depth in the soil. But I mean, there are other possibilities, I guess. But I mean, this is a possibility. First of all, that it was buried. Maybe it wasn't buried 300 foot deep, but maybe it was buried 10 foot deep at several years ago, or 100 years ago, or 1,000 years ago. I don't know. I guess you could think of a lot of different reasons how it could have come about to be
Maybe
there.
there was maybe someone dug a well there in ancient times, and it fell down the well, and then later on that well caved in, and it just
you know, I
who's to
thought
say?
earlier today when I was watching this, I thought, what if, like, 400 years ago, some little native kid seen a sinkhole and dropped their
And
doll down,
dropped it in, and
and
then
the
it
damn
filled
thing
in.
went that deep, and it closed itself back up over. I mean, who's to
Certainly.
say it didn't? I don't know.
Yeah, that's definitely in the realm of possibility and probability as well. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's definitely an interesting artifact. Science has gone as far as to say that it's natural. Just FYI, science has gone as far to say that this is not man-made, that's natural. So now, I'm not going to be totally against that either, though. But I still have a problem with the depth. If because it's wood,
Mm-hmm.
if it's that deep, it would have to be put there so long ago that it wouldn't have been wood anymore, in my opinion. That's part of the problem I have with that.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
handle on the hammer, right?
I like your explanation that there could have been a sinkhole in ancient times, and perhaps someone dropped it in. I think that to me makes the most sense. But I I mean, just looking at it, it definitely looks like a depiction of a person. However, like you said, our brains are pre-programmed to see faces and ourselves in other things. I know there's an exact term for that phenomenon, but is it an extreme case of that? Maybe it's just it's an old stick that looks like a person.
Right, right.
Maybe not.
It's hey, I can understand the debate about it. I see that the chat room making some mention in Hammerbot's pulling the information on it for me too. 295 foot actual foot deep. Like I think I said 300, and it was estimated to be 2 million years old. So now that would create a major problem with timeline and mankind.
Yeah.
So of course, that's where that is where science is going. Like I said, science has gone as far as to say it's a natural formation.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't deny the depth. Nobody denied the depth. Science tried to debunk it in other ways. So yeah, so but it is interesting. It's definitely an oddity of
Absolutely.
things that have been found, and it definitely deserves to be on the list. So man-made or natural. Man-made or natural kind of brings me to this. This is located in West Virginia, the Waffle Rock. And guys, all I can say about the Waffle Rock is I don't think I'm not in the way of it, so I'm not gonna block the picture. All I can say about the Waffle Rock is maybe I'll do this and make it a little bigger for you. You're gonna have to come to your own conclusion on this one. Of is that a natural formation of this waffle pattern? If it's not, here's the thing: if it's not, there is nothing that this isn't carved. It's like these are deep grooves in this thing. This isn't something somebody took hammer and chisel and carved out. I guess it's possible. Science wants to say it's a natural formation. I've never seen a natural formation like it, but that doesn't mean that it's not natural. Uh, I don't. Have you heard about this one, Green Feather?
I haven't heard about this one. No, it's really interesting to look at. And what I
It,
think of when I see it are other patterns in nature similar, like honeycombs. And it makes me wonder if maybe it was a piece of subsurface that maybe volcanically was formed those sections and raised out of the earth there.
or
But it
or what if it was what if it's so old that some type of insect actually created it?
very very good point, and it became hardened to stone. That material would have, yeah. Who knows? It could have been like a prehistoric beehive that.
Well, I mean, we know that there's fossilized footprints
Right.
that we have found over time, and they're nothing more than a footprint of dinosaur or what have you that's into the rock. Kind of just like the way these waffles are, except instead it's a footprint, right? So I wonder though. I wonder if there was a type of insect, and I mean it could have been a really big insect if we're going back in time far enough, right? We know that there was a time on this earth when animals were kind of really large,
That's
uh,
right. Yeah, we had a
and in
period
which
of
case,
mega beasts and megafauna, so there would be large insects as well. And as a I was a beekeeper, so that's the reason why my brain went right to that. The other phenomenon it reminds me of in northwest Scotland and northwest Ireland, there's it's called the Giants Causeway, but what it is a series of hexagonal stone pillars that interlock like a big puzzle, and they're all raised like columns, and it looks like something that was man-made because the lines are very straight and everything like that, but they determine that it's volcanic basalt that naturally forms that way because the pillars over time take on that shape. So I wonder if it's a geological phenomenon in that sense, or if it's a more like a fossil type of thing, or some
one
sort of.
one fish had actually seen this in person. And if you want to add anything in there about after looking at it in person, does it give you the feel of natural or man-made?
Hmm.
I'd like go ahead, just drop it in the comment there and let us know. Gemma feels it looks man-made. Again, I do too. But as we were talking about it, really, it was right here on the show when it kind of come to me when you mentioned the honeybees and stuff. It kind of come to me that why couldn't an insect have created that in a Jurassic time?
That's right. Definitely possible. Could be an ancient fossil.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
find out.
And all right, but that's again. Let's see, what do we got here? Uh, Something similar in the Catskills that has um, trail rock, but not formations. Do they claim that in the Catskills is that natural, or do they claim that that's man-made? Or and okay, let's pull another one up here while we're going, and see what else we got. Uh, this one was kind of cool. Science says that it could be a hoax. Again, the owners of the item won't allow it to be cut open or to be
Mm.
destroyed in any way to be tested. So,
Hmm.
and that leaves it open to be a hoax without a doubt.
Right.
Anytime that happens. Um, this was found as a couple guys were digging fence posts near the lake, and is found in New England. It has all this face on it, which almost could be Masingu-ish to me.
Yeah,
A little bit.
yeah, it has this. It doesn't look like it. It looks like it could be a piece of maybe soapstone that was carved with the face on it, and it looks like a feather on the side there. Is that what that is?
It's actually an ear of corn. I don't have a
Oh,
side
okay.
picture, but it's actually an ear of corn, which
Huh.
to me indicates that it could have been anything from South America on up.
That's right, because corn as a crop originated in Mexico originally about 7,000 years ago and was a grass that was over time became an ear of corn in the sense that we know it today. So that face almost reminds me of some of the jade carvings from the Olmec culture, and some of
Mm-hmm.
the larger stone heads that are down there have a similar ratio of like the features are similar. However, you got to keep in mind with archaeology, people do hoax things. So, in that sense, it was found in 1872, though. So, it
Yeah.
would be kind of an odd ball time for a couple of dudes digging fence posts to hoax a.
Yeah,
It
you would
looks
think
like, to be
so,
honest
right?
with
That
you, it
they
looks like it's. I'd have
it's
to,
really
I'd
got
have to
it's
look at it in person, but
yeah, it
it
was
looks,
really
yeah.
made with precision, though, and it's a polished stone, and it's about the size of an egg. It's not very big.
Yeah, it looks like it could be authentic. It looks like it could have been something old that, if we had corn here in the eastern woodland tribes, pre-contact. So in that sense, there was trade from what was Mexico up the Mississippi River, down the Ohio River Valley, ultimately to this area. So did people bring similar motifs with them as well as the crop? Did they bring art with them that they traded, which people here, maybe someone traded with the Olmec culture up there in New England and then took a face that was from a piece of art, carved it on a egg-shaped piece of soapstone. That's what it looks like to me anyway, is black
You
soapstone.
know,
But
I think we
um,
underestimate the type of traveling that went on inside this country pre-incursion. I really do, and to say that it's possibly a trade item from somewhere in Mexico that made it that far up east, really, that doesn't surprise me because there were roadways and trails cut all over this country before colonists had arrived. People migrated, people followed the animals on their hunts, and
for sure.
I see it being very possible that there was more trade than we realized going back
And the
and forth.
waterways, the rivers were the highways.
They
So
were
the
definitely the highway.
Mississippi River is the largest. It goes all the way up the continent, and that would have been a super highway of trade for sure.
Definitely, definitely. Uh, on the oddities, I guess we definitely wanted to throw this one in here too. This one's not far from me, but guys, what really makes this one more of an oddity is the fact that science gave ownership of this to the local Indians, although they didn't want ownership of it, meaning they claimed they didn't build it, that it was there. It took a lot of years before science recounted their opinion, and now they have a indigenous tribe name. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it's a fictional tribe because they don't know. They don't know who these people were. They know very little about them. But the Serpent Mound is it's definitely a oddity because if it predates American Indian, like the local tribes claimed, that means they were building this type of mound structure more than 10,000 years ago. So it kind of it conflicts a little bit of what they think went on here in this country.
And the level of sophistication and artistry required to build something like that indicates a culture that was doing it for a long time at that point that it was built. It's not like they woke up one day and decided to build this very beautiful, intricate earthwork project. This would have been
It was huge.
um,
I mean,
a,
guys, this is an aerial picture because from the ground, you really can't even tell what it is because it's so big. It's the fact that you got to be up above it to see it to
It was a
realize.
full. It definitely required a full scale engineering mindset and a lot of manpower back then, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, a lot more than we realized that, that, well, I guess the science really wanted to give credit to say that, um, you know, not even, what would it have been in science's mind, I guess, paleo time, right? If it would be um,
Yeah, in that
pre-natal.
sense, it probably would have been, during the Holocene or sometime thereafter. The mound builders. There's a lot of debate in terms of the dating of anthropologically and archaeologically who, what, and when the mound builders as a culture, because there were multiple waves of cultures that built mounds here, but putting a pinpoint on who they were exactly is kind of a question mark in some regards.
Well, and now right here we know the owner of that 2 million-year-old doll must have been this 2 million-year-old man in Nevada. Nevada actually has a lot of different things though going on. The writing you see here, this is like the oldest known uh, writing here in America. Uh, the skulls are we're going to open a can of worms, but I'll go ahead and say it. The 200 million-year-old man, much like the little itty bitty man we found talked about earlier, this one was a really big man. He was, we'll use the evil G word, but he was, would have been giant compared to us. So, again, that gets into science does not like to talk about giants. In fact, anytime they seem to be brought up, sites tend to get closed down. And I watched that happen right here because we have a mound right here on the Maumee River, and the college come in and they were digging away, and they found some mammoth tusk, and that was all big news and all over. And then all of a sudden, somebody said they found a giant skull, and they closed the whole operation down. There's no more news about the site. So they, I don't know, but that seems to happen a lot. It really does.
Yeah, and that's definitely a broad topic of conversation that I think we'll have another good show about in detail sometime.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, you know what, man, we are in this 30 minutes already, and I want to save, first of all, a lot of these things that we haven't talked about tonight. We will do a follow-up. Ford will be back. He's just kind of took a sick day today, and he will be back for our final show on this topic on the last Thursday of the month, and we'll have a lot more to talk about. And we'll see where the show goes from there. We did have a lot of awesome people come in here tonight, so let me run through a quick shout out list before we end. Nudge Outdoors, Uncle Al, our Hammerbot is always working. Hike with Mike, Frontier Survival, Nudge Outdoors, Bellfire Outdoors. Don't let me miss anybody here. If you see some Gemma, of course, much love, Gemma. First, one cast, one fish. Did I miss anybody? Did I miss you? If I missed you, I thought I seen like Matt Cook. And I'm just going off memory. He hasn't said much, but I think I saw Matt Cook in there. I see Forest Permaculture in there. My brother Earthling right there. And guys, again, it was a great show. I really enjoyed talking about this stuff. I think the show went by really fast, but I wanted to leave it at that 30 minutes for the replay value. And also, if you're here for the replay, mark your calendar for the last Thursday of the month. Ford and myself will be back. My brother right here. Oh, there it is. Boom. My brother, Green Feathers, thank you so much for filling in this evening and helping us out here on the show. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Seriously, it's an honor to be on as always, and thank you for joining us, everybody. You know, we love being able to discuss topics that open people's minds to learning more about the world, learning more about our history. Really is what it's all about.
Yeah, I think we can learn a lot about ourselves by learning about our ancestors. As
For sure.
I believe, you're responsible for not only the 12 generations that come after you, but you're responsible for the 12 generations that came before you. That's why I always throw a weird smile in when I hear people claim how they're not responsible for what their ancestors did. Well, if you're Lenape, you actually are. It's your job to fix their mistakes if you outlive them. But all right, guys, it's not our translating again. We're gonna get off on a whole nother. I gotta talk Native American when I'm with my Native American brother, though. It's hard not to.
Oh yeah, well, you know. How can you not?
I can't help it. All right, guys. Uh, Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you for jumping in and joining in the chat room. I hope I didn't miss any questions. I probably did, but we rambled quite a bit. Join us next our last Thursday of the month. Is it the 26th, Uncle Al? Is that when it is? I appreciate that, by the way. Join us on that day, and we will definitely be doing a follow-up for it. We'll be back, and good Lord, we'll have a lot to say. Much love, everyone. Till our shows meet again. I hope all your adventures are awesome. And Green Feathers, we are out in 3, 2,